Hello and welcome to Triathlon England Northwest 2024 Zwift Club Challenge. This is our guide to the competition this year in 2024 and we're really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. First of all, welcome. It's really exciting for us to have 12 teams this year, our most ever, and so many riders already taking part in the kick-off race. So just thank you to everybody that's agreed to take part. I hope you really enjoy the next 5 or 6 weeks of racing. So, let's not forget the objective that we have for this event, and that is that building on the success of the last couple of years, we want to get members from all over the Northwest racing each other, enjoying each other's competition and enjoying a bit of friendly banter. It's important that it's for all abilities and that we get friendly cooperation and competition. So we want it to be fun and we want as many people involved as possible. Now, for those of you that have raced before, I want you to pay attention because there's a slightly different format, some new rules and a slightly updated scoring system which is going to be important. So please do pay attention. For those of you that are new to the competition, I'm sure you'll enjoy it and I'm sure most of your questions will be answered here. So the format, you've already had the first race of the season and that's given each of the clubs that are represented, the 12 clubs, their starting points. Just a handful of starting points. They won't be crucial at the end of the season, I assure you, but they just give us a little bit of a starting idea as to where everyone stands. But what it has done is enabled us to put the teams this year into 2 groups. We've had to do that this year because of the 12 teams. The whole series would take far too long if we had all 12 teams in one single group. So the 12 teams are these, and they're into 2 groups. Group A has got Rochdale, that's last year's champions, Knutsford, Rossendale, Total Tri, Wyre and Nantwich. They'll all be racing each other. And Group B, you've got Lakeland, who are newcomers but have done very well in the first race. Good numbers there. Chorley, Preston, you've all done this before. Chester, you were great last year. Bolton and Lancaster. So most of the newcomers actually are in Group A. Let's tell you a little bit more about the format. So within each group, every club will race every other club in that group in a series of head-to-head races. So every week, for example, each club can enter as many teams of 6 as they like. So for example, Knutsford could have 20 riders or 18 riders in this case, and they would have Knutsford A, a Knutsford B and a Knutsford C. And Rochdale would have maybe 12 riders, A and B. Don't worry if you don't have an exact multiple of 6. You can have another team, and that's still an advantage to you because the scoring system rewards the more teams that are taking part as possible. So if, for example, you have 20 riders, as I said earlier, then you would have an A, a B, a C, and you'd have a D team, which would just have a couple of riders in it. That is useful. So everybody who turns up scores, and everybody who turns up actually adds to the value of their best riders' scores as well. Now note another slight difference this year, and that is that you will score better if you have over 50s, under 16s or women in your teams because they score higher points. We're really flexible about this, but we want you to add them in. This year, another difference. You don't have to have an over 50 or an under 16 or a woman in every team. Last year we said you had to have that. You don't have to have it this year, but we do need to know who they are because that's going to change the scoring. So here's the series timetable. Some of you should have seen that already. And you can see, just as an example, in week 1, which starts on the week commencing the 5th of February, we're going to have 3 races in Group A. Knutsford versus Rochdale. Wyre will be the home team against Rossendale. And Nantwich will be taking on Total. In Group B, we'll have Chorley versus Lakeland, Bolton versus Preston, and Lancaster versus Chester. So next week, there should be 6 races taking place. And you see them there. And you can see it flows on during the week. It's quite important to know who the home and the away team are for reasons I'll explain in a second. Now the captains. Captains are really important. They're the guys that pull all your teams together, get everyone organised. For each week, the home team captain sets up the event on Zwift for each of the head-to-head races. They can choose the location, they can choose the world within Zwift that you use, and whether it's a hilly or a flat course to suit their particular riders. We need each of those captains to check with the away captain to make sure that it's organised for the right day and time on each week. And one of the formats that we have here is that that we allow you to just choose whatever day best suits you for the coming week. What we do ask is that before the race kicks off, each captain declares to the other captain who is in each of their teams. That's important. We don't want you mixing your teams up after you've seen the results to get the best results. So before the race starts, you need to nominate, if you've got 20 riders turning up, you need to say who's in each of the teams. And what we also need you to do is to identify who the over 50s are, the under 16s are, and the female riders, just an asterisk or something by the names, because these riders will score 150% of the points in their finishing position. And then the home team captain, after the race, will compile the results and send them in to me to check. In the rules, there's a few things that we just like to think about, but most of the time we're trying to be friendly, we're trying to work together, and we're trying to prioritise a good cooperation and good involvement. So if there's any dispute, please try to resolve it amicably between the captains, but if you have a problem, refer to me and we'll try and sort that out. Zwift glitches happen. They're the equivalent, we think, of the real-life mechanical. So just you're going to have to treat them as if you got a puncture or if you had a mechanical in a real-life race. They happen, we can't prevent them, and pretty much every week somebody has a little bit of a dropout in their internet connection or something. That's just how it goes, I'm afraid. Do feel free to chat and banter, particularly during the races. I mean, if you've got the breath left to do that, then hats off to you, but maybe beforehand when you're in the starting pen. But do bear in mind that there are likely to be some juniors involved in the races, so can we make sure you moderate your language appropriately? And we do suggest that if there are any under 16s involved, that they make sure that their name on Zwift is an alias or something which protects their privacy. That's just a little bit of a safeguarding issue, and we would just want to make sure that everyone can take part feeling very safe and secure. Now, it's worth taking part because, as with last year and the year before, the winning team gets invited to the National Cycling Centre in Manchester for a free trip on the velodrome. I know it was a lot of fun in October of 2023 when the various took part. And there's also some individual spot prizes, so you don't have to be a winner to win a prize, so to speak. So hopefully those of you that are in the winning team can enjoy that. Team kits. It adds to the fun if you can identify your team members and have matching team kits. So what we do is we allocate the very basic team kits to your teams in this system. It's not compulsory. If you haven't got the right kit on, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect it in any way. It's just a bit of fun. But just to help you do that, we've identified and allocated kits from the Zwift garage to your team members. And they are as follows. So you can see Rochdale and Lakeland have basic 1, which is the sort of the Bumblebee or the Wasp kit. Knutsford and Chorley, we've allocated Vintage 1, and you shouldn't read into that anything about the age of the riders there. Rossendale and Preston, we've allocated Basic 2. Total and Chester, we've allocated Basic 3. Wyre and Bolton, Vintage 2. And Nantwich and Lancaster, Vintage 3. We've chosen those kits because even at the very basic level of Zwift, you should have access to those in your garage, and hopefully you can encourage your teammates to sign up to those kits. So it just remains for me to say the very best of luck. I hope you enjoy your racing, and I look forward to seeing the results.